Hey everybody, it's James with Rowe-Thrush. Welcome to Rowe-Thrush live stream interviews. This is episode 33. Today we will be interviewing TriArc and Ballymore, the parent company. This is actually going to be our last live stream interview that we do for the year, with it being episode 33. And following the rest of the year, every Friday, we will be doing rewind episodes of previously recorded live streams. And we will officially start season 2 at the beginning of next year in January. So be on the lookout for more announcements later on this year regarding that. Before we bring Paul with Ballymore on, just a quick introduction as far as who Rowe-Thrush is. We are a manufacturer rep agency that specializes in Grainger. We represent just over 60 different brands into Grainger, ranging from lighting and electrical, material handling, hand tools, pneumatics, safety and security, plumbing, and heating and air conditioning. We're a little different from most rep agencies because we specialize in Grainger, with many resources available to the Grainger sales force, such as the Rowe-Thrush SharePoint site that houses our entire library of Graingerized literature, as well as Rowe-Thrush videos and much, much more. We also jump on district team calls on a regular basis, introducing districts to the suppliers that we represent and the solutions that they can bring. With all that said, one last thing. If you have ever sold any products from Ballymore or TriArc, please comment in the comments section telling us that, as well as where you're located and what types of customers you call on. We would love to hear from you about all of that. And with that, I want to welcome Paul to the show. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for taking some time out today to join our show. Really looking forward to getting into the world of Ballymore and TriArc and the products that you guys have. But before we get into that, I want to learn a little bit more about yourself. So first, tell us, how long you've been with Ballymore, what it is that you do there, and what did you do before you came to Ballymore?
Excellent. Thanks, James. So I've been with Ballymore just a little bit over a year. I'm the director of safety products. So a little bit further in the presentation, you'll see that we used to be known as Ballymore Safety Ladders. We've just recently changed our name to Ballymore Safety Products. So with me coming on board, we've diversified a little bit more, and the company's really focusing on helping customers, your customers, solve problems and keep you from getting hurt. So before I came over to Ballymore, I had a 30-plus year career in the insurance industry as a consultant to Fortune 500 customers. So not unlike what you might be doing, going out into customers, trying to help them solve their problems and come up with solutions. So very excited to be here. I have an engineering background, certified safety professional. And I just got to start by saying, I am so impressed when I'm driving down the road and I hear a Grainger commercial and it's touting the fact that you have board certified safety people working with you to help your customers. So something you should be very proud of. Very just awesome.
I remember the first time I heard a Grainger commercial was many, many years ago. I think my father actually may have still worked at Grainger, and I was like, oh my God, it's a Grainger commercial on the radio. How cool is that? Cool. Thank you for sharing all that. I do have one more question that I like to ask everybody that comes on to the show, whether I'm hosting it or not. I always chime in and ask this question. Any frequent viewers of ours already know where I'm getting at with this, and that is, what is your favorite movie and why?
Oh my. I don't know. I'd probably have to just say Top Gun because of its currentness. So.
Have you seen the new one?
The action. I have not. Yeah.
Oh,
not yet.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch that, and the first movie back in the 80s. I remember watching that as a kid and loving the song, the main song of it, as well as the movie itself. A great movie.
Excellent.
So with that, let's get into TriArc and Ballymore. Why don't you tell us a little bit about them, how long they've been in existence, and a little bit about the history, and what is it that they provide to Grainger?
Excellent. So both Ballymore and TriArc, long-term companies with just excellent brands and marketplace presence and a reputation for quality. So Ballymore formed in 1945, TriArc formed in 1947, both Pennsylvania companies, just a couple hours apart from each other. In the past, we were competitors, but as of August of 2021, our companies have joined, and you'll now see the four components of the Ballymore Safety Products Company. So we have a lift division, we have our ladders in Coatesville, we have TriArc ladder division, and then a material handling division as well. So a good percentage of our revenue is starting to come from products that didn't exist 5 years ago. So you've got the lifts, you've got in the middle traditional ladders, and on the right-hand side is just one example of a product we'll get deeper into later, but it's a ball transfer table for helping people move boxes and material let the machine do the lifting instead of the person and significantly reduce injuries. So just it's really awesome to put the capabilities of TriArc together with Ballymore. TriArc has a lot of the custom, TriArc has a lot of the custom things. If you're something off the shelf, and our shelf is pretty big when it comes to ladders and platforms and things to help people do work from elevation. But if there's something that just doesn't, a problem you're trying to solve that just isn't there, we have the capability through TriArc to help engineer very specific solutions for your customers. Awesome. All right, next.
Excellent. So, when it comes to the types of customers that would be interested in buying Ballymore and TriArc products, what types of segments would be perfect for your products?
Yeah, so across almost all of the business units or customer businesses, you're looking at things that are going to apply to manufacturing, hospitality, multifamily, the military, the government. Almost anybody has some elevated work, and on top of that, it's very hard to get most jobs done without handling or moving something. So that material handling part of it plays through almost every business segment you might be addressing.
Now, I'm quite familiar with TriArc, and knowing that they manufacture in the U.S. Ballymore manufactures in the U.S. too. Is it their entire line that manufactures in the U.S., or only a certain percentage of products that are manufactured in the
Yeah,
US?
so we'll get component parts. We'll source them where it's going to make the best sense for the customer, and the assembly, the welding, the building, the engineering, the construction is done here in Coatesville, Pennsylvania.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now, when it comes to CBIs or customer business issues, what types of solutions do you have that can help out Granger customers?
Yeah, so the safety solutions for sure, and I'll go deep into something that we spoke with your safety specialist probably 3-4 months back. Had a meeting much like this to go deep into a couple slides I'll have later in the presentation on something called the Ergo evaluator. We've got some really unique solutions to help customers with their safety problems. Productivity, so to help the customers get the job done more efficiently. So if people are less fatigued, you have more trained people on the job because they're not injured. And then obviously cost savings is another factor to that. So the lifts and different ways of doing things, replacing a big, heavier piece of equipment with a lighter one that does more for less. So.
Excellent. Thank you for going through all that. Now, when it comes to a Granger account manager walking into a customer facility, what is it that they should be looking for in order to sell your products? Who should they be talking to? And what are some key questions that they should ask those people?
Yeah, so the question that I always ask when I started working with a new customer or a new contact at a customer that I was with, what problems can we help you solve? Where are your pain points? Where are people getting injured? Where do you see risk? What keeps your customer up at night? What things are they thinking about that they haven't been able to solve yet, or that they might be working on but are looking for additional solutions or additional strategies to help address those kinds of problems. So obviously, if there's people working at elevation, if they're currently on ladders, on lifts, if they're doing some things that you recognize as not being very safe, it's a good discussion to have and say, hey, there might be a different way to do that, or another product that might help get that person up to that level. If you see low-level lifting, if you see product on the ground and people having to depalletize, palletize without elevating equipment like a lift table, certainly an opportunity to have a discussion there about product that can help them get that job done with less risk for injury. Manual material handling, push-pull. If you see a lot of heavy product and you see manual pallet jacks and you see people pulling and tugging and then later on trying to stop it and keep it from moving when they get to their destination. So just a lot of things that you can pick up on as you're out there in the field with your customers. Safety contacts, operations contacts, and it's probably a nice mix of both. Depends on how large the customer is, how much of a dedicated safety resource they might have, which is obviously where you can bring in your safety resource if they don't have it. And then we can be a safety resource to your safety people and to you as well. So I like to work with both safety and operational contacts, and that's probably the best place to go to really understand how the job gets done and where their concerns are.
Great. You mentioned, looking for things that people are doing that they shouldn't be doing. That is a perfect thing to keep an eye out for. And it makes me, I kind of smirked when he said that, because I remembered this video that I just recently saw where they had a forklift lifted up all the way with a flat piece of wood on it, and then a ladder on top of that wood, and a person at the very top of the ladder, on the very top step, which you're not supposed to do as well, doing some sort of fixture change at that facility. And they actually, once the guy got off the ladder, he was standing on that board of wood, and they moved the forklift back to a second level where the guy, stepped off of the platform onto, it was just a crazy video. I've never seen anything that crazy before, but these things happen, and it's something crucial to keep an eye out for to help keep people safe.
Yeah, and James, and got one example kind of like that. So we were installing ladders at a customer and taking them out and showing the features and bringing them the new ladders. And we talked to some of the associates that work there, and we said, what's the most hazardous? What's the thing that scares you a little bit, or is the hardest part of this job? And unless we'd asked that question, we never would have known. So we're thinking, reaching for these boxes or carrying something or whatever it might be. And they say, well, a couple times a year, we have to carry these ladders, lay them down and carry these ladders through a door to get to another building because our doors are shorter than your ladders. And so we had a discussion with them that the ladders we sell have, some of them will have the rollers on the back, so you can it'll carry the weight of the ladder without you having to pick the thing up and carry it. But had we not talked to somebody, we probably never would have seen that just in our random observations at that customer. So really talking to them, hey, what are the things that cause you pain or concern, really can lead you in some good directions. So.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. That's great information. Now, let's get into some key features and benefits that makes TriArc and Ballymore different from other manufacturers out there.
Yeah, so our business model is what really attracted me to Ballymore, and it's about a solutions development process. So jointly, you may bring us a safety problem that your customer's having, and I'll show you how that can happen. We'll try to really understand what is the issue, what are the nuts and bolts, what's going on, how's the task getting done. If we have a solution that we believe will work, we'll bring it to you. If we don't, we'll try and tweak something that we already have. And if there's a big enough market, we'll invest our money in development of a new product. And the things that you'll see at the end of the presentation are some things that didn't exist a year ago that are now in your catalog. We'll leverage our supply chain to manufacture it and get it built as efficiently and cost effectively as possible. Use our supply chain to get that product to market. We'll test it and continue. A lot of our products go through Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 based on feedback from you and your customers. And then we'll take it to the bigger marketplace and sell it through your catalog and through other different methods. So, and then it regenerates, and we come back and we point that system at another problem and continue to work through it. So it's really exciting to be at a company that invests in that kind of development and isn't just stagnant, right? So, yeah, that business model is a big differentiator for us.
Great. Let's go on to the next slide.
So Ergo Evaluator, in my past life, you'll see the word Liberty Mutual on there. Liberty Mutual owns the rights to it, and Ballymore was one of the first customers outside of Liberty Mutual to buy the rights to use this Ergo Evaluator tool. And it was developed over the last several years. I was actually a couple of years back involved in some of the beta testing of it. Go ahead to the next slide and we'll give you just a quick outlet. So anybody on this call could record a 4, 5, 6, 10-second video of a task that's causing your customer pain. I need to see their head. I need to see their feet. You need to tell me how much the box weighs or whatever the thing that they're handling weighs and how often they do it. I take that video and upload it into the Ergo Evaluator program. It goes up into the cloud. Artificial intelligence will put body links on it and turn them red, yellow, and green throughout the video to help us identify exactly which part of the task is the most problematic. From the safety geek side of it, it will spit out the NIOSH lifting equation, the lifting index. It'll spit out the Liberty Mutual population percentages. It'll have all this, ergonomic kind of background and charts and tables and things that if you've got a sophisticated customer with safety resource, will make some sense to them. But we've also got some pretty simple things that will make sense to anybody that you show it to. You can compare. Here's your current task. Let's simulate it with, let's say, a lift table. Let's simulate it with some other way of doing it. You can do the before and after and identify the risk reduction. Let's go on to the next slide. So this is just an example of Jack, one of our sales guys who you may be familiar with. I had him simulate palletizing to the floor or palletizing to a raised platform. And there are the parameters on the side. So the NIOSH lifting equation said it went, from 2.97 to 2.17. But what does that really mean? So about a year ago, one of the PhD guys came up with an algorithm, and I'll show you what science it's based on. And it predicts that if you use that stacker instead of stacking on the floor, you could expect to see a 27% reduction in back injuries. And it's not just a number that somebody pulled out of the air. There's a lot of science behind it. And there's an algorithm built into the program that identifies when you move from a NIOSH lifting equation of X to a lower one, what does that really mean? What should the customer expect to see from an injury reduction standpoint? So that's a number that a lot of our customers will take and plug into their ROI calculation and say, hey, here's where it was, here's where it is. The piece of equipment is X. And the payback period is 1 to 3 years, depending on what their experience has been and how bad the task is. So that back injury rate predictor did not exist more than maybe a year and a half ago. And it's something that's super powerful. The other thing that you get from us when you interact with us on the Ergo Evaluator is you get an MP4 file of that lift through its entire lift. So someone who's not an ergonomic specialist can pretty quickly pick up on the red, yellow, green and say, hey, this is the part of task. That low bend is what we're trying to eliminate. How can we eliminate it? We can get it off the floor. And there's several different ways to do it. There's low cost ways to do it, and there's more efficient, higher cost ways to do it as well. So this is, it's for safety people, this is super exciting. And I think people outside the safety world, when they can get that back injury rate predicting number, plus a nice, video graphic, it really helps influence the buying decision.
So is this an app that account managers could download onto their iPhones or Android devices?
Yeah, so there's a licensing that goes on behind this. So we have it, and we offer it as a free service to Grainger. So on our website, if you go to the Ballymore.com website, there's a safety solutions tab. At the bottom of it, it says share your problem with us. And at the end of this presentation, there'll be a link to that. You give us a brief description of your problem. Send me a 5, 6, 10-second video at the most with the parameters that I mentioned. It comes straight to me. I'll upload that, do the analysis, and then send it back. Usually results in a phone call and a discussion. Hey, here's a couple different solutions. Even if we don't have a product, if we know there's something in your catalog that will do it, we want to be a resource to you to help you solve customers' problems. If we have a product that works, awesome. If we don't, we still want to help you sell your another product into that and add value for your customer. We know it's going to come around if you start thinking of us first, and then we go from there. So it is a service that we provide free of charge to Grainger.
That's fantastic. What an awesome tool that you guys have put together. When I looked at the presentation, it brought me back to my automotive days, and it was like, oh, I wish I would have had something like that, because maybe I wouldn't have as much of a back problem and neck problem as I currently have. I have to see a chiropractor still on a regular basis from the damages that were done when I was a mechanic for 11 years. So that's a fantastic resource that you have available. What other resources do you have for the Grainger sales force?
So let's go ahead to the next slide. I just want to do one more.
Okay.
I want to get everybody to just understand the depth of this really quick. So that number, that back injury rate predictor number, comes from a study, a research study. And when you hear about research studies, you start thinking, yeah, some professor had 5 students in a back room, do something. So this was 48 industrial companies, over 350 jobs. They tracked them for 6 years and looked at the injuries. They classified them as high, medium, low risk, and that gave them that lifting index. So way in the background, there's a big database with lifting indexes and claims and all this stuff. So that algorithm is based on this deep study. That's not just a couple of research students in a back room. So that's where that number comes from. It's a study done out of The Ohio State University by a gentleman named Morris, and Liberty Mutual took that publicly available data and built an algorithm out of it to get you that part. So just know there's a lot of depth and research behind that actual number. Thank you. Yep. So on top of lift lowers, so to get that number, it has to be a lift lower because it is keyed off of the lifting index. But if you have a push-pull task, so that's me pushing and pulling a pallet of batteries with a manual pallet jack, and then another product we have that's a powered pallet jack where you just use your thumb to move it instead of having to use your body force. So in these push-pull kind of situations, what we calculate is a population percentage. And that's the population percentage of people who could be expected to do that job without significant risk of back injury. So you won't get that percentage reduction, but you will get a percentage of the people that could do that job with a reasonable amount of risk. So as there's an aging population and as workers continue to be harder to find, the greater percentage of the workforce that can do that job safely is just going to be a big win for your customers. All right. And then go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I jumped the gun a little there. So, what other resources do you guys have available to the Grainger sales force?
Yeah, so there's a link to the BallymoreTriArc catalog. That's a PDF version, and we'll get that to you. So it has that. And I did want to just highlight a couple products that were recently added. And I was at the show in Orlando, and some of these were just hitting your catalog when we were at the Grainger trade show. Go back just one slide for a second. So on the left is a ball transfer table. We'll get into that. There's a self-lifting stacker. So if you got customers who don't have lift gates and don't have docks, that's a device that can load something onto a truck and then climb into the truck itself and get stowed, so that you don't need to pay for a lift gate. The good thing is a lift gate stays with the truck that you can roll into the customer, or you can roll into the truck to get a pallet as well. Portable loading dock we'll talk about, and then the Rebel is an elevating platform that is used in warehouses for inventories and order picking of small parts and that kind of stuff. So
now, Do you, sticking with the resources before we get into, a couple of those additional products, do you have outside field resources available to the Granger sales force, both for Ballymore as well as TriArc? People that can go out and, maybe do some, maybe not exactly risk assessment, but be able to talk to your customers, maybe do some demos, and help them pick some products out. Do you have something like that available?
So we do have several inside salespeople who go outside, not on a periodic basis for the right customer. I'm available to do some of that for the right opportunities. So I will generally start out understanding we'll have a discussion, maybe look at some pictures that you've taken at a job, at a customer, identify what the risks are, identify how complex the problems are, and I travel the country, so I am available. I mean, there's only one of me right now. I'm interviewing to get a second one of me, to get a second resource. We're building our team out, but right now, so the answer is yes, but it's on a limited basis right now. Yep.
Okay, great. And then you had a couple of products that you wanted to feature here at the end, some new products that are available through Granger.
Yeah, so the portable loading dock is just a phenomenal product, and this is Gen 3 of the product. It lifts up to 1,500 pounds. So here again, let's say you've got a customer that's started out small and grown, but their facility never had a dock because they never needed a dock. But now they're bringing in more product or shipping more product and having trucks and all kinds of stuff. So you can unload a tractor, one by one on it with a pallet, roll a pallet onto here and lower it. If you have to load customers' vehicles with certain kinds of things, a lot of rental operations will use this and load tillers and different kinds of things onto people's trucks or vehicles as they're leaving. So if you have any rental customers, great opportunity for that. Retail as well, customers that sell safes and refrigerators and all different kinds of things. It's a super great tool for that. Goes up to 54 inches high. The platform's, 4 feet by 75 inches long. Just a super great tool. It's got AGM batteries. You charge it. Most customers can use it for about a week before they need to recharge it. So just something I want to highlight. It is in your catalog, and it is, it's just, there's nothing like it in the marketplace. It's patented. And it's a great tool for that. And if you have a customer and you say, well, they load motorcycles, it's too big, whatever, let us know. That cycle I talked about before is real. So if we start getting a demand for a narrower version for Harley dealers, I know there's some relationships in different parts of the automotive and motorcycle kind of business. So certainly feed that back through us. All right, next slide. And the ball transfer table, I mentioned that before. Really, really cool product. We have it. We take it to every trade show now. And it raises up from pretty much pallet height. You can transfer something that weighs up to 500 pounds from a pallet onto this without having to lift it. You kind of tilt it and roll it onto the balls. Once it gets a couple rows in, you can move a 100 or 200 pound product with just your hands without a whole bunch of force. And then you can take it to a shelf, or you can palletize it or depalletize it. As you put something on it and the ball's lower, they automatically retract into the deck, because we know that most of the time you're going to move it to the next station or move it somewhere. So you don't want it rolling off. So as you lower it, you don't have to hit a button or anything. They just automatically retract into the deck. So that's something that's available in your catalog now. It has onboard charger, AGM batteries, and really unique product. At your trade show, it was one of the things that really brought people into our booth. Hey, what's that? I've never seen anything like it. So.
Yeah, I remember seeing it, in those roller balls. It's really neat how you can almost seamlessly, very easily rotate, say, a large, heavy box, in a complete 360-degree turn. So really cool product there. Like the feature, like you said, how the ball's lower. That way you don't have to worry about anything rolling off of the platform when you're moving it around to reposition it. So cool product there. All right. I think that is all we have, unless there's another slide. Okay. That is about it. I don't see any questions that have come in, but this live stream will live on here on LinkedIn. If anybody ever comments on it, somebody from Rowe-Thrush will see it and will address it at a later date. Want to say thank you to everybody that has been watching our live streams over the last year that we've been doing it. Again, this is the last live stream that we will do for season 1. Season 2 will start next year in January. But what we will do is every Friday, we will continue to do rewind episodes of all of our previously recorded live streams. The next one will actually be next Friday with Essex Electronics, where we'll be getting into access control devices, keyless, card readers, keypads, great security products there, all manufactured here in the U.S. With that, thank you very much, Paul, for jumping on our live stream. Definitely enjoyed it. Some really cool stuff. Really like to hear from the Grainger sales force about the Ergo Ergo evaluator. I don't know. I have a hard time with that word for some reason, but really looking forward to seeing how that resonates with the Grainger sales force. If anybody's used it, please let us know. We would love to hear from you as far as your experience using that. So again, thank you very much, Paul, for jumping on. Hope you have a great weekend, and same with everybody else watching. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Goodbye, everybody.